feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everybody, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank. I'm your co-host Ted Jenkin, here with my co-host Lee Heisman today. Of course, our guest that flew all the way in from Austin, Texas. Well, actually, from Panama City, Florida, but was able to join us today, Jamie Lagarde, who's the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Sedera. This is a medical cost-sharing organization, and you have to go to shrimptankpodcast.com to check out this whole podcast. Not only about being an entrepreneur and growing a business, but every single business owner that I talk to, the number one issue that comes up all the time on here is health insurance when it comes to the money in their company.
Well, thank you, Ted, so much for obviously bringing us in, but don't forget, you got to click the subscribe button, and you have to click the bell so you get notification, not only to listen to CEOs like Jamie, but also all the other CEOs we have. But Jamie, thank you. I learned a lot about your organization. Kind of tell our listeners what Sedera does and how you operate.
Absolutely, Lee. Well, Sedera is a medical cost-sharing community. It's people who have come together to simply share their medical bills, people helping people. It's a non-insurance approach for dealing with healthcare. And so we would say that today, and I think most people would agree with this, that healthcare, the cost of healthcare is the number one public policy problem this country faces today. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing about it all the time. And the reality is there is a solution. There are ways that people are getting the health care they need at a far more affordable price. It just doesn't involve insurance.
Well, this is what I loved about our conversation today is that with free market enterprise, entrepreneurs, Jamie, they always figure this stuff out. And now you've created an alternative solution to healthcare. It's not an alternative to solution to healthcare, which I love in this. So for people out there that may be watching this, how do you actually find members, new members to join your Sedera, and how do they find you and how do you find them?
Sure, Ted, great question. So the way we find members is we get a lot of member referrals, members of people who are part of the community today. They tell their friends, they tell their families, and that's how we get a lot of our new members today. We will also get introduced to employers who are small businesses mainly that are struggling to provide health care for their employees. And so for most businesses, the cost of health insurance is the number 2 or 3 expense line item on the P&L. And so we effectively allow the business to get out of the healthcare business and work directly with their employees and their families to a far more affordable solution. So we get members and individuals and employees and their families directly. Many times we also work with affiliates or people who happen to be health insurance brokers, and so we end up being the different arrow in their quiver. It just happens to be something they can pull out every once in a while to introduce to those employees and their families. It just, again, has no insurance in it at all.
I know for decades now, having my businesses, I'm always lost every time I have my renewal time. So I'm definitely going to be looking more into this. But explain to our audience, how does the shareable process that you created, how did it affect the healthcare market in general?
Well, I think most people are familiar with the sharing economy that exists today, and we were joking earlier during the podcast of what's happened in the transportation industry. But look at Uber and Lyft, and you look at Airbnb. Those companies have all been about sharing your assets and sharing that with other people, and it's been wildly popular and very successful. Well, can't we take that same concept and apply it to our bills, our liabilities? And the answer is you can. And that's what Sedera is. We're part of the next generation of the sharing economy, where it's people helping people directly. But the reality is this isn't a new concept. The sharing economy for healthcare has been around since the early 1980s, and it's had a fantastic track record of success. So we look forward to having more people learn more about it.
Well, speaking of that, how do people get in touch with you?
So we'd love to have a conversation about Sedera might work for you. If you're interested to learn more, you can reach us, go to our website at sedera.com or send us an email at info@sedera.com.
Well, Jamie, thanks for coming on the program today, and thanks for you watching the post-show wrap-up today. And listen, you're going to shop for a lot of things in your life, but health insurance may be one of the biggest decisions that you have to make as a company. You should listen to the entire podcast that Lee and I did with Jamie today at shrimptankpodcast.com. And more importantly, like Lee mentioned, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and you click the notifications button. Why? We've interviewed more than 1,000 CEOs across the country in a dozen different cities around the United States. If you want to get an MBA in entrepreneurship, you don't want to waste a lot of time and money making mistakes, how do you avoid them? You watch all of these videos on the Shrimp Tank. This is how you're going to learn from some of the brightest and best entrepreneurs and CEOs in and around the United States of America. Thanks so much for watching the Shrimp Tank, and thanks so much for doing this post-show wrap with us.
Ted,
we appreciate it today.
Thank you for having me. Lee,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Absolutely.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.